right, hello. We're just gonna give everybody a few seconds to realize that the live is going on and jump in. So this is the very first episode of my podcast. Hello. So I'm really excited. This is something that I've had this idea for a while, but I'm just now being able to put it in action. So yeah. So huge thank you to anybody who's watching live or anybody who might see this later. I really appreciate it. So I'm gonna go ahead, before I get into the good stuff, the whips, I'm gonna go ahead and just give like a little introduction about like myself and about my crochet journey and how the podcast will work going forward. So just hang in there with me for a few minutes and then we'll start talking about some crochet and knitting and Tunisian crochet. So first of all, about me. So my name is Andrea, or Drea for short. You can call me whichever one you want. And I live in, hi Delilah, I live in Houston, Texas. So as far as kind of like family stuff, I got engaged in February, just a few weeks before the world kind of fell apart a little bit. So the wedding planning's on hold. We haven't done anything to plan the wedding. We have no idea when it is, what we're gonna do. So that's kind of on hold, but my fiance is an amazing person and he's actually watching right now. So hi, Luke. And as far as my day job goes, I work as a civil engineer, specifically in stormwater. So I work on models that show basically what happens when it rains. So where does the water go? How does it stay there? How long does it stay there? Does it cause any houses to flood? And then the other side of that coin is like, well, if there is flooding, what are some things that we can do to reduce the flooding? So that's a little bit about me personally. So as far as crochet goes, I've been crocheting for about 9 years now, so getting pretty close to a decade, but I just started this Instagram account, DREA'S Hook. It used to be called something else, but I started it in May 2019, so it's been about a year now. And if you kind of want to hear more about like why I chose DREA'S Hook as a name or anything like that, I do have another video on my IGTV that goes over all of that, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to be really brief. So I have released a few crochet patterns. After the whole Ravelry fiasco, some things got kind of taken down and moved around, and I still need to update one of my patterns, and so I'm not really pushing them too hard right now because they're just all over the place. But I do have a resource. It's called the Crochet Skill Level Quiz, and you can get it for free if you go to the link in my bio and sign up to my newsletter list. It's going to be sent to your email, and it'll basically help you figure out what your crochet skill level is. So beginner, advanced beginner, intermediate, or advanced. So if you've always been wondering, or like you just want like confirmation of what you are, that is something that you can do. And I'm definitely working on more resources like that moving forward. Hold on, I just want to make sure I'm like waving at everybody. So yeah, I'm definitely working on more resources like that going forward, which I'm going to talk about one of them a little later because I count it as a work in progress, even though it's not something that I'm like making with yarn. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and DREA'S Hook. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about the podcast. So the past few months, I've been watching a lot of like crochet and knitting podcasts. It's one of my favorite things to have on when I'm personally crocheting and knitting because it really helps me kind of like stay inspired and motivated, like to like see and hear other people talking about their makes. It encourages me to make and to finish projects and things like that. And so one of the things that I really like about those podcasts is that everybody's personality really kind of like comes through. A lot of these podcasts have very similar formats where we're talking about what we make, but everybody's making different things. And so it's not like you're watching the same thing over and over again. And even just like week to week or month to month, or however frequently the podcaster is choosing to podcast, it's different because you get to see the progression. So all of that is to say that I really kind of got inspired to start making my own podcast, and I do eventually want it to be on YouTube, but I guess the issue is that like at this point in my life, I don't really feel that I have enough like time or energy to do like a full-blown produced video where it's edited and things like that. And so my compromise was to start off by doing lives here on Instagram, because I really love doing Instagram lives. I've done a few in the past and I always have a really good time because I really kind of like the I guess interactive aspect of it, where I get to talk with y'all and see like who's here and who's in the chat and everything. So I really love doing Instagram lives. And so I thought that for now, this would be a really good format to at least get started with the podcast. I think that my ultimate goal is to eventually transition to doing full-blown videos on YouTube where they're edited and everything, because I think it'd be really cool to have a YouTube channel. Obviously it's not going to be huge just because the fiber arts community is a little niche. I never know how to say that word. Anyway, so it's not going to be like this huge like million subscribers thing, but it would be nice to have a channel. So with these videos that are going to be on IGTV, I'm also going to try to upload them to YouTube. We'll see how it goes. I know that IGTV videos are vertical, and I think that the preferred format for YouTube is horizontal, so it might not work out that well, but we're gonna see what happens with that. So this is definitely going to be a little bit of an experiment, a little bit of a journey, and I'm just really excited to take y'all along with me on this journey. So that said, please bear with me if there's any like technical difficulties or fumbles. Like, this is real life, and so transitioning from talking about one project to the next might be a little choppy. I'm like looking at my laptop at my notes, and so I'm constantly going to be looking over here. So like, this is real life, and like, this is the real me, and I want it to be as authentic as possible. So that's kind of where we're at with the podcast right now. Let's see, I missed a few comments. I think Instagram kind of like changed their format, because I used to be able to see like more than one comment at a time, but now it's scrolling and I have to click a little arrow to see everything. Let's see, same here. Oh, I feel that. I really admire you for the lives. Oh, thank you. I really enjoy doing the lives. Definitely, I'm here for it. Alrighty, so as far as kind of like the agenda or like the general schedule for the lives, so not the lives, the podcasts, well, I guess they are lives, but they're also podcasts. The general kind of outline is like, if I have any like announcements, like a pattern tester call or any upcoming releases, I will do those first. And so this kind of like big introduction that I'm doing in the beginning right now is kind of taking that spot. And then I'll go over any projects that I've finished since the last time that I did a podcast episode. And then I'll go over any new projects that I've started since the last time we spoke. And then old projects that I've been working on. And then as needed, so we're going to talk about it in this episode, but this probably isn't going to happen every time, any inactive works in progress that I have going on, because I'm kind of hoping that if I talk about them, that I'll be inspired and encouraged to work them back into my rotation. But we'll see how that goes. And then that's it for now. Over time, I would like to add like some other segments, maybe like a Q&A segment or something else. But I think for now, we'll just stick to talking about the projects, because I do think that we might run out of time today, because I have a lot of projects to talk about. I posted in my stories a couple hours ago, like the big stack that I have sitting next to me of all my projects, and it's quite a lot. And I'm a little long-winded, and so I kind of have a feeling that I'm not going to get through everything today, because of course Instagram has the time limit on the lives. It cuts you off right at the hour mark. So I'm actually going to try to start wrapping up around 55 minutes, about 5 minutes early, so that it doesn't cut me off mid-thought. So in terms of like the frequency of the podcasts, they will be at least every other week, because I need a couple weeks between the podcasts to actually be able to crochet and Tunisian crochet and knit and actually have some progress to show you on the projects. But in the case where I don't get to talk about everything that I want to talk about within the allotted time, I'll have like an overflow week that'll be the following week. So in that case, it would be every other week, I guess. So I'm really going to try to stick to keeping them at Saturdays on 1 p.m. Central. Obviously, things do come up, but I'm really going to try to keep them on Saturday afternoons, because the lighting is really good right now, and it will always be good at this time of day, even when the days start to get shorter. So the next podcast will definitely be on October 3rd, but there might be one next Saturday on September 26th. So yeah, definitely just keep an eye on my stories and my feeds and everything, and I'll make sure that I have like countdown timers going and everything. All right, so we spent 12 minutes talking about stuff that's not actually related to my whips. So I think now we can finally get into what we're all here for. So my first project that I want to show you is this shawl, and it's not done yet, but it's already huge. Like, I was trying to set up the camera earlier so that I could get the entire thing in the frame, and it just wasn't happening because it's already huge. Like, it's already, I have my arms stretched all the way out and you can't see the whole thing. So this is called the Dancing in the Shawl Wrap, and it's by Knits and Knots Winnipeg. That's what her Instagram handle is here on Instagram, because I just said Instagram handle. Anyway, so yeah, the design is called the Dancing in the Sun Wrap by Knits and Knots Winnipeg, and the yarn that I'm using is Lindy Chain. So Knit Picks / We Crochet Lindy Chain, and this is the color navy. So as far as the project goes, so Knits and Knots released a pattern collection with We Crochet a few weeks back. It's like a summer pattern collection, and it was like 5 patterns for $10. And so I thought that it was a really good deal, because there were at least like 3 patterns in there that I wanted to make. So I went ahead and grabbed that collection, and one of them was this shawl, and there's actually another shawl that's included in the collection as well, and so I'm hoping to make that. But when I saw both of the shawls, it made me think of my mom, because she really likes wearing shawls. Like when she goes to church, she'll like have them wrapped around her, and she really likes coordinating them with her outfits and everything. And so I sent her pictures of both of the shawls, and I was like, do you like either of these? Because I have the crochet patterns for them. I can make one of them for you. And she said that she liked the Dancing in the Shawl Wrap. So I went ahead and ordered the yarn for it. and I've just been working on it. It works up like pretty quickly. Like obviously we're at the point now where the rows are super long, so it takes a little bit of time to actually get from one end to the other, but I only have 10 rows left, and then I need to add fringe, and then I'll be done. So this is going to be a Christmas present for my mom. And another thing is that I asked her what color she wanted, and she said that she wanted royal blue or navy blue. So I think that Lindy Chain does kind of have a royal blue option, but they were sold out at the time because, with COVID-19 going on and everything, it can be a little difficult to find the yarn that you want these days. And so navy blue was her second choice, so we're doing it in navy blue. And yeah, this has been a really fun project to work on. I really want to make one for myself, but I'm also making 3 other shawls right now, which we'll talk about later. So I don't know why I'm on such a shawl kick right now, but I think that she'll really like this. And it's huge, so like I could just put it on right now. See, it's not even done yet, and you can already tell that it's drapes across the shoulders pretty well. So yeah. So like I said, I only have about 10 rows left. So the shawl's broken up into like these 2 different sections. So like the more solid section and then the mesh section. So there's 3 solid sections and 2 mesh sections. So I just have to do 1 more solid section and then add the fringe, and then we'll be done. So I am actually trying to finish this project within the next couple of weeks because I have so many whips going on right now that I promised myself that I wouldn't start another whip until I finished something. And TL Yarn Crafts is having a Tunisian crochet along. I don't know if y'all seen it, but it's this gorgeous Tunisian crochet blanket. And she said that you can learn like a lot of new skills while you're working on the blanket. And that's kind of like my whole thing, like trying to learn new skills and everything. So I really want to do that Tunisian crochet along. And so I'm really hoping that I can finish this before then. So that crochet along, I think it starts on October 5th. And so I'm trying to finish this by October 4th. And so I think that's in like 15 days or something. So if I do a row per day, that still leaves me 5 days to do the fringe, which I think I would need all that time because I've never added fringe to anything before. It's not really my style, but I know my mom will love the fringe. So I do think it's going to take me a little bit of time to add the fringe. A lot of times these like kind of finishing techniques, like adding fringe, weaving in the ends, things like that, I'm not as motivated to do those kind of things as opposed to actually crocheting. So I think it'll be good to give myself a little extra time to do the fringe and wrap this project up. So that is my goal. I'm guessing like since the next podcast definitely won't be until next week or the week after, I probably won't be completely done with this by then, but I'm hoping that I at least have like the actual crocheting part done by then. And then another thing is, I don't know if I should block it before or after adding the fringe. So that's something that I'm gonna have to look into as well. Let's see. And then as far as the yarn goes, so like I said, it's Lindy Chain. And I had never used this yarn before. If you don't know, Lindy Chain is a linen cotton blend. So it's 70% linen, 30% Pima cotton. And it's interesting, it's not as soft as like a wool. So it takes a little getting used to, but it's not hard on the hands. And this is fingering weight, so it's really light. It's definitely designed to be like a more spring or summer wrap because it's so light. So yeah, that's kind of my little commentary on the yarn. I try to talk about the yarn a little bit if I have thoughts on it. All right, so I think that's all I have to say about the Dancing in the Sun wrap. Let me see what's going on with the chat. That is so sweet. Thank you. That's really pretty. Thank you. That color blends well with Minish. You will love it. Yeah, exactly. Like navy blue is basically a neutral, and navy blue is definitely one of my favorites, and so I'm definitely like tempted to keep it for myself, but I'm not going to do it. This is for my mom. It's for my mom. We're not keeping this for myself. But yeah, I really enjoy how navy blue goes with a bunch of stuff as well. Love the goals. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really going to try to be better about kind of like setting, like giving myself like little deadlines to try to finish stuff, because I kind of tend to just let my projects linger a little bit, and then it's like a year later and I still haven't finished the project yet. So I'm really gonna try to make sure that I'm actually working on my projects, and I hope that like doing this podcast every week or every other week will kind of help me hold accountable, because I don't want to get on here and like not have anything to show y'all and not have anything to talk about. So that's the plan. That's the plan. Love your lipstick color too. Girl, you're rocking it. Thanks, Shanice. So this is actually my first time wearing this lipstick. So this is from Beauty Bakery, and I think the color is called Cranberry Stiletto. So it's kind of like a red with like a kind of cool undertone, because that tends to look a little better on me. And I absolutely love Beauty Bakery. I wear their lipsticks all the time. I think probably most of the lipsticks that you've seen me wear when I do my lives are from Beauty Bakery. Like the purple one, that one's Beauty Bakery. And another awesome thing about Beauty Bakery is that they're a Black-owned brand as well. And so if you're looking to support a Black-owned brand and you need summer makeup, I would definitely encourage you to check them out. They used to just do the lipsticks, but now they've branched out and they have like foundation, and I'm actually wearing their mascara right now too. So just a little aside about the makeup. Oh yes, the podcast will help. And then I have the same problem with my whips. If I don't have a deadline, the bigger ones will pile up. Yes, exactly. So I'm really hoping that the podcast will kind of help keep my projects moving along, because I do pattern tests and stuff, and I have no issues meeting the deadlines for my pattern test. So I think I kind of just need to like get in that mentality for some of my personal projects as well. And then like Britt said, especially for larger projects like blankets or garments even, sometimes they can get a little, depending on the pattern, of course, they can get a little like tedious and monotonous, and so it's kind of hard to keep the excitement going. So I'm really hoping that doesn't happen with any of my other whips, and that I'll be encouraged to keep making progress on them. All right, so we're gonna move on to my next project, which is also a whip. I mean, of course it's a whip. It's also a shawl, my bad. So this is the Soundwave shawl by Stephanie Aaron. And this one's interesting because it has stripes of mohair in between your main color. I don't know if y'all can see. So my main color is from LaRue Cotton. This colorway is called After the Rain. It has like blues and purples and then like this kind of rust color in there. And even though LaRue Cotton primarily sells cotton, this fiber is actually Tencel. So I think it's based in cellulose. I'm not entirely sure like how it's produced or whatever, but it's not an animal fiber, it's a plant fiber for sure. And then the mohair is from Sorella Yarn, and this is in the colorway Voyager. So quite a few things to say about this project. First of all, this is the first time that I've ever worked with mohair, and I was honestly terrified because like whenever I like wound this up, all I saw was like this big fuzzy ball, and I was like, how am I going to work with that? But I knew that I wanted to try working with mohair for a couple of reasons. One, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Like, I wish y'all were here to feel how soft this is. Like, this is going to be another awesome lightweight shawl. And it's just absolutely gorgeous and beautiful to work with. So I wanted to work with it for that reason. And also, I would consider mohair, just because it is so light and like fuzzy, I would consider it to be a novelty yarn. So anything that's like fuzzy, furry, kind of outside of our range of normal. And on my crochet skill level quiz that I made, that is one of the questions that I have on there. And my own quiz told me that I was still intermediate and I want to be advanced. And so I've been purposely seeking out projects to help me improve my skills, things that I've never tried before, so that I can improve my skills and then hopefully inspire y'all to seek out kind of new projects that use like new skills and techniques that you've never used before to improve your skills as well. So yeah, first time working with mohair. Let's see, the camera doesn't do it justice, but zooming in helped. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do another close-up of the shawl. Luke is saying it didn't do it justice because he's seen it in person. He's probably right. Just another close-up. This is the Soundwave shawl. Another thing is that I obviously got the tinsel and the mohair from two different dyers, and I was never fully convinced that these colors were going to go together. So I really liked After the Rain because it had all these colors that I really like. I really try to stick to a defined color palette with my makes. It just kind of makes buying yarn a little bit easier, and it saves me a lot of money too, because instead of buying like every pretty yarn that I see, I know that if it's not within this certain color palette that I've set for myself, that I just need to pass on it. So if you have a large stash that you're trying to cut down on, definitely consider kind of limiting the colors that you buy. But anyway, so I bought this yarn first, knowing that I was going to use it for this project. But since LaRue Cotton doesn't sell mohair, I knew I needed to get the mohair from something else. Let's see. I'm at work, but I wanted to pop in and say hi. I'll have to catch the replay. Okay, thanks for stopping by. And I hope that you enjoy the replay and that you have a good rest of the day at work. So I went on Sorella Yarn's website, and if you're not familiar, Sorella Yarn, they don't have their yarn available all the time. They do like a 12-hour pre-order on the first of every month, and they have like these limited edition collections, and so if you don't get that yarn within the 12 hours, it's gone, so you've got to be quick. So I've been wanting to get some of their yarn for a while, but just because of like that 12-hour window and like the color palette thing, I just hadn't gotten around to buying it yet. But I digress. But they are really good about having collections that kind of coordinate, and they'll like have color combination suggestions and things like that. So their collections, they'll usually have like a few variegated yarns, a few tonal yarns, and they'll be like, okay, this variegated yarn goes really well with this tonal yarn. So obviously this colorway Voyager is definitely more tonal, and the variegated yarn that they had it paired with had a lot of the same colors that After the Rain did. It wasn't, they could be cousins. I wouldn't say that they were sisters. I would say that they were yarn cousins, colorway cousins. So I was like, well, if Voyager goes with that yarn, then maybe it'll go with After the Rain. but I was still like not entirely convinced, but I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and order it. Like, we're just gonna see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead and order it. And so when the yarn finally got here and I held them next to each other, I still didn't think that they were gonna go together. Like, I don't know what y'all think. I just wasn't completely sold when I had them caked up like this. So I was like kind of worried. I was like, man, did I just like waste money and now I'm gonna have to go buy some more mohair? So I was definitely worried about that. But then I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and work it up, because, you know, sometimes yarns look different once you work them up than they do like in the hank or in the cake. And I am so glad that I did. Like, look at this. This is probably one of the best color decisions that I've made in my entire life. Like, it just looks so good. Like, I'm really proud of myself for this one, y'all. So I am really excited to finish this. It's going to be really big. And we are at the point where it's taking a little bit of time to get across the row. Obviously, mohair can be a little tricky to work with since it's lace weight, it's really small, it's a little slippery as well. And I'm also finding that the tinsel is a little slippery, a little bit more slippery than I'm used to. So I am having to work a little bit slower, but it's such a like meditative pattern. Once you get going, you don't really have to look at the pattern. So it's definitely a really good thing to work on while you're watching TV or watching my podcast. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So it's just a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying this project. So I think that once I finish the dancing with the sun wrap, I'm probably going to make this my focus, because I'm really excited to wear it. Since it's so lightweight, I can basically wear it any time of year. And it'll be great, and it'll go with a lot of the clothes that I already have. So really excited about this one. All right, yeah, there is no way that we're going to get through everything today, because it is already 1:32 and I've only talked about 2 of my projects, and I think there's like 10 or 11. So we're gonna have a podcast next week, so that'll be fun. That'll be fun. All right. Let's see. All right, so my next project is actually not traditional crochet. It's Tunisian crochet, and it's actually my very first Tunisian crochet project. So I'm really excited about this. There's not too much to show off right now, but this is the beginning of the Loveland shawl by TL Yarn Crafts. She had like this big Tunisian crochet along for it. I think back in April. I think it was definitely earlier this year, but I wasn't able to join at that time. But I always really loved the pattern, so I'm glad that I'm finally getting a chance to make it. So that color, yes, the color is fantastic. So this is another LaRue cotton colorway. It's called Rusted. So it definitely kind of has like that rust color in it, and it also has, let's see, like some gray in it, and it just works up so nicely. It's such a joy to work with. So yeah, this is DK weight yarn, so this is going to be a little bit heavier than some of the other shawls that I'm working on. And the thing with, let's see, do I talk about the design or the yarn first? I'll talk about the yarn first. So the thing with this shawl is that it actually uses 2 different colors. So if you haven't seen it, it starts off with this section in one color in the Tunisian knit stitch, and then it moves to a section where it's striping between the 2 colors, still in Tunisian knit stitch, and then it goes to a different Tunisian stitch using just color B. So the issue is that I have not decided what my color B is going to be yet. because LaRue Cotton just has so many fantastic colorways. And her most recent collection, well, it's not her most recent because she's had another one since then, but this rusted yarn and then the After the Rain yarn that I'm using for Soundwave, they're both from her Peeling Paint collection. And the way that she designed those colorways, they like all go really well together. And so you have like a ton of possibilities on how many different colorways you can use. So whenever I was ordering yarn from that collection, I was ordering for 3 different projects. So I ordered for Loveland Shawl and I ordered for Soundwave. And then I was working on a pattern test for the Kiss My Shorty shorts by Inchworm Crafts. And so I needed yarn for that as well. So since I needed that yarn for the pattern test pretty quickly, I didn't want to spend too long like trying to decide what yarn to use. So I was like, you know what, I'll just go ahead and order rusted because I definitely know that I want rusted and I'll just figure out the other color later. So I have not figured out what that other color is going to be. I think I've narrowed it down to like 3 or 4 options, and I'm nowhere near the point where I need to use that second color yet. So we'll just figure it out when we figure it out. So this project might end up getting paused at some point just because I think there's like a 3-week lead time for some of those colorways. So, but that's okay because I have like 20 other projects that I'm working on. Another thing with this shawl is that I think I messed up a little early on. So I'm gonna have to try to hold this up. But this is like the end of each row, and you can see that there's like a gap. And I'm not sure if it was a tension issue or what. I'm still a relative beginner at Tunisian crochet, and so sometimes the stitch anatomy kind of throws me off. And so when you're working like the last stitch of the row, it goes into a different spot than all the other stitches do. And so I think I was initially putting that last stitch in the wrong spot, and that's why it looks like this. But once I realized it, because I did notice this pretty early on, once I realized it, I tried to be more intentional about putting it in the correct spot, and this is still happening. So I think that I'm actually going to frog this and start over, because I kept trying to tell myself that, you know, since this is the inside of the shawl, if I'm wearing it like this or over the shoulders, nobody's gonna notice it anyway, like it's fine, everything's fine. But the more I look at it, the more I'm just like the perfectionist in me is like, no, I just need to start over. So next time we talk about this, I'm probably gonna be frogged, but thankfully it works out pretty quickly. And it's always hard to, you know, start things the first time, but starting things the second time doesn't take nearly as long. So I don't really feel too upset about having to frog this, because I'm pretty confident that I'll get back to where I was pretty quickly. So yeah, that's the Loveland shawl. Let's see. Have you tried posting in Tony's Facebook group about it? I've not. I'm not in Tony's Facebook group. I think I'm probably going to join for the Tunisian crochet along that's coming up, but I'm not in it right now, so I haven't posted about it there. But that's definitely a good idea, because obviously, like, they've all made it, they would know, Tony would know. So that might be something that I need to do before I just go ahead and frog it. I'll probably frog it anyway, but that's a really good idea. Thank you for the suggestion. It'll buy you more time to pick another color. That's true too. That's true too. So yeah, frogging in this case is definitely more, I wouldn't say it's exciting, but I'm not as upset about frogging as I usually am. So that'll be like a really good project once it's done. Alrighty, next project Also a shawl, also Tunisian crochet, also designed by TL Yarn Crafts, is the Party Punch shawl. So this one is kind of in its early stages as well, and it's a boomerang shawl. So it's gonna have like a really nice curved shape to it once it's done. And let me just get closer so that you can see this colorway. So this yarn is from Sorella Yarn, and it's called Maui. Okay, I don't know where my skein went. Okay, there it is. Here it is. So yeah, Sorella Yarn, colorway Maui, and this is their sock yarn. It's actually a little different from what their sock yarn typically is, because like everyone else, due to COVID-19, they've been having some issues with like their supply. So this sock yarn actually has a little bit of cashmere in it. So very luxurious, very soft. Like, it's so soft, and I can't wait to see what this is going to look like once it blocks out. So yeah, this pattern's really cool because it only uses one skein of fingering. So you just kind of like continue in pattern. I think it says until you have 10 grams of yarn left, and then you do some of the finishing stuff. So it can be easily customizable to whatever skein of fingering weight yarn that you have lying around. And when it comes to the yarn choice, I really try to do my best to match the yarn that the designer used. Not necessarily making sure that I use the exact same like yarn and brand, or even like fiber content, because I like to play around with the fiber content as well. But in terms of the appearance of the yarn, so whether it's like a tonal yarn or variegated, or striped, or whatever the case may be. So the sample that Tony worked up was in this beautiful speckled yarn. I think it's from We Crochet. And so I really wanted to make sure that whatever yarn that I chose was also speckled. And so this colorway is working up so pretty. Like, it's gorgeous. Like, this is so much fun to work up, and just like watch like what the colors are doing. So yeah, I still have quite a ways to go on this shawl. I don't know how many grams of yarn I have left right now, but you can see that I definitely still have most of the skein. So it's probably going to be a while before I'm able to finish this, but it works up very quickly at this point because you're only increasing by 1 stitch per row, I think, whereas some of these other shawls that I'm working on, you're increasing by like 8 stitches per row or 10 stitches per row, and so the rows get really long really quick, whereas this is more of like a gradual increase. And so I'm still at the point in the shawl, even though I have like quite a few rows that I've done, the rows aren't that long yet. So still in the phase where it works up very quickly. So that's the Party Punch shawl. I don't think I have too much more to say about that. All right. Okay, we have 17 minutes left, and I'm only about to start on the 5th project. It's fine. Everything's fine. Very chatty. All right. So this next project is the Lattice Lace Dress by Stephanie Aaron. And I'm using Lion Brand Kobu yarn, and this is the colorway Silver. So a couple of things about this project. First of all, even though it's a full-blown dress, I am probably going to cut it off early and do a peplum. I do have enough yarn on hand to make the dress, so I haven't completely decided yet, but if I can make it work as a peplum, I'm probably just going to do a peplum. Because the part of the design that I really like is, you know, what it's named for. the actual lattice lace up here. And I just thought it was like the way that the pattern was written is genius. Like how you get this effect, it's just absolutely genius. Stephanie Aaron is an amazing designer. So I'm really excited about that. So stay tuned to find out if this ends up being a dress or a peplum. We'll see how it goes. And then another thing is I had one skein of Kobu in silver, kind of just in my stash. I think I kind of went through a phase late last year where I would just buy random skeins of yarn, just to like try them, just to have them. So I had like some Kobu in silver, and it's very similar to, I think that the pattern says to use Trubu, but Kobu and Trubu are very similar in like weight and gauge and things like that. So I just decided to start with the Kobu since it's what I already had. And so since I only had one skein, I went ahead and ordered some more. And I have no idea if this is actually going to show up on camera, but they are totally, oh yeah, you can definitely see it on camera. They are totally different dye lots. So up at the top is what I was originally using, and then the rest of the yarn that I ordered was a different dye lot. But I don't think it's just the dye lot that's different. I think that they also kind of changed the formula, because the yarn label that I have for the original skein of Kobu that I had said that it was 50-50 cotton bamboo. This yarn label says it is 51% cotton, 49% bamboo. So I think that they changed the formula a little bit, which is totally fine. Like 50-50, 51-49, like that's nothing to complain about. But the color is a little bit different, and if I had known that the color was going to be that different, I might have just gone with a different color altogether, because gray is definitely one of my favorite colors, but I like a certain gray. So this original Kobu is more of like a cooler tone, whereas this newer Kobu is a little bit of a warmer tone, and I tend to gravitate towards the cooler tones a little bit. So if I had known that, I might have done the entire dress or peplum, whatever it ends up being, in a different color, but there's nothing I can do about it now. I thought about starting over and alternating skeins, but I didn't feel like it. So like, I'm just gonna be honest, I can be a little bit of a lazy crocheter sometimes. It is what it is. So we're just gonna have a little bit of a color block situation, and I think that ultimately it'll be okay, because I'm not sure if anybody would notice if I didn't just go out of my way to point it out to you. So I think it'll be fine. Let's see. Yes, that dress is on my list too. Yes, like it's so good. Like all the tester photos that I saw looked amazing. Everybody just looked like so happy and confident, and like that's what made me want to make it. Mine is peplum size right now, and it's so cute. I want to add the lattice lace on my sleeves. Yes, I actually want to add the lattice lace on my sleeves too. I'm trying to decide if it's worth it, because obviously that would require a little bit of math, but I understand what she did, how she figured out how to do the lattice lace on the yoke. So I feel like I could figure it out maybe, but that's definitely something that crossed my mind, was to add the lattice lace to the sleeves as well. Because even if I do the peplum, I'm definitely gonna have the lattice lace on the bottom, or I'm gonna try to, we'll see how it goes. My stitch count is already a couple stitches off, but the measurements are still checking out, so I'm just gonna kind of keep going and adjust later. Like, this isn't a pattern test. The stitch counts don't need to be correct. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's fine. Let's see. If it was me, I wouldn't notice unless it was said to me. Yeah, it's like a really subtle difference in color, so that's fine. She has the lace at the bottom of the skirt as well. Yes, yes. So I'm kind of thinking that with the peplum, if I got to the point where all the increases are done and you're just going around the skirt, I could just use whatever pattern she has written for the lace at the bottom of the skirt and just do it early and then finish it off. So that's what I'm hoping that I'll be able to do. So as far as how much progress I've made on this, I have a few more rounds left on the yoke. So yeah, I think maybe like 5 or 6 more rounds. I'm not entirely sure. And then of course I'll be splitting for the sleeves. And yeah, this one works up pretty quickly as well. So it's always fun. Part of the reason why I don't want to do the full-blown dress is just because I don't want to crochet like a long skirt. So like I like pick my battles when it comes to my crochet projects. So if I can just do a peplum and have it look nice, then that's what I'm gonna do. So let's see, the increases are done at the beginning, so it should be really easy to do. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I haven't looked at that part of the pattern yet, but that's kind of what I thought. I think I remember her saying that. So yeah, just like do all the increases, make the like keep going until the peplum is the length that I want it to be, and then add the lace, and then we should be good. So we're gonna see how that goes. Okay, so it is 1:51. I have 9 minutes left, and I'm trying to decide if I should go ahead and talk about my next project. I think I will. I think I have enough time. The thing is, I just don't want to rush through it. We'll start talking about it. Luke wants me to do another hour. No, I'm tired and hungry. We're going to talk about the rest of them next week. He just wants me to like leave him in peace. That's why he wants me to do another hour. Because he knows when I get off of here, I'm going to like nag him. So, but yeah, 2 hours is a little bit much for me. Like 2 hours in a row. So that's why we're going to hop back on here next week. Just because like I know my limits, you know. I'm kind of at the point in my life where I know how my energy is distributed, and how much I can do before things kind of start to go south for me. So I know that if I go another hour on here, and like I'm honestly having such a good time. Y'all are awesome. I appreciate y'all engaging with me in the chat and everything, and I'm having a really good time like talking about my projects and everything. But I know that if I keep going for another hour, it's not going to end well for me for the rest of the day and tomorrow, which means that next week is going to be bad. And yeah, so it's just the way it is. So I hope y'all will join me next Saturday, same time, Saturday 1 p.m. on the 26th, and we will talk about the rest of these projects. And I actually changed my mind. I don't want to talk about my next project, because I really don't think I'm going to have enough time. So we are actually going to start to wrap up a little bit here. Let's see. You two are cute, LL. Oh, thanks. We just have like a little bit of a banter for sure. Lots of inside jokes, lots of we troll each other a lot too. So yeah, Luke is fantastic. Such a good person, such a wholesome person, and I love him a lot. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna start to wrap up a little bit. I want to thank y'all for joining me. If you're watching this later, thank y'all for watching and taking the time to watch. This is a lot of fun, and I had a really good time today. So I'm sorry that I didn't get to talk about everything, but I kind of knew this was gonna happen. I thought I was going to get a little further than I did, but that's okay. That's okay. So we will pick up same time next week, Saturday at 1 p.m. And we will start talking about the traveling knit Afghan and then some of the other projects that I'm working on. And then if I have any updates on any of the projects that I talked about today, we'll talk about those as well. And we'll just keep things going. So yeah, I really hope that y'all have a good rest of your day or night if you're in a different time zone. And I will talk to y'all, like, throughout the day and week, like on my stories and in my posts and things like that. And yeah, thank you so much for joining, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye. Oh, this is awkward. I thought I'd be able to end it right away.